Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is The Power of Etiquette and Manners, sponsored by the British School of Excellence and Mr. Philip SYKES. Our topic today is etiquette in conflict resolution. I'd like to say hello to our new viewers on Roku Worldwide, as well as Amazon Fire and Instagram. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Joining me today is the star of our show, Mr. Philip SYKES, who is actually out in the field broadcasting live. Let's welcome him to the program. Hello, Philip.
Dr. JACALYN, hello. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you? Looks like you're in someplace beautiful.
I am. I'm in South Africa and very, very happy to be here. We're running a program next week from Monday through to Thursday. We're running a Train the Trainer out of South Africa for the first time, Dr. JACALYN.
Woo, congratulations. That's fantastic.
I'm very blessed with my mum's here with me, my son, my wonderful wife, and we've met some wonderful family friends at the most beautiful wine estate here in Stellenbosch in South Africa.
Well, you look very happy and the weather looks magnificent. Who's this here with you now?
That's little Harley. That's my son.
Hello, Harley. How are you?
Say hello, Dr. JACALYN.
I haven't seen you, Harley, since Christmas, I think.
Before then, I think.
Maybe before then. You're getting very big and tall. You look wonderful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You look very nice.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's very sweet. Thank you. Philip, I'm excited that you're joining us from the field. It's always nice to get out from behind the green screen and actually go out and report live. So today we're talking about etiquette in conflict
Yeah.
resolution. So obviously, there's a lot of conflict going on in the world, and people have their very strong opinions about certain things, and many times do not care how they present themselves or how what they're saying is received. What can you tell us just from an overall global standpoint when it comes to conflict resolution?
Can you hear me, Dr. Jacqueline?
Yes, I can.
Sorry, I lost you for a second.
Oh, that's
I
okay.
lost you for a second. My apologies.
That's okay. We were talking about global conflict, and there's a lot of conflict in the world, and people feel very inclined to just give their opinion about things, regardless of how it's going to be received from the other person.
Yeah, that is something that is very, very, very fragile the world over, Dr. Jacqueline. I think we as human beings really need to understand how important it is to connect with one another on a personal and sort of emotional level, and use the power of etiquette and manners and emotional intelligence. And I just feel that so many people out there in the world have literally lost their way when it comes to just doing the right thing, and it's become very me, this instant gratification. And yeah, there's too much misery and unhappiness in this world. And there's also a scenario of very wealthy people who are not making the correct contributions to society and helping people who really struggle in this world. And just being in South Africa at the moment, the poverty, it is such a big divide of the haves and the have-nots. And we as human beings, we can at least make an effort somewhere along the line to add value to people's lives and make a difference.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, you brought up a great point that in different places around the world, maybe there's not a lot of media that is going there interviewing people to see how people are living. Everyone's not living a great quality of life. Everyone does not have fresh, clean water. I mean, people have to walk miles in some cases just to have water.
It's One cannot believe it unless you really see it for yourself.
Well, we seem to have lost Philip there. I'm sure he'll be joining us back from South Africa. So, when we think about etiquette in conflict resolution, how are you showing up when there's some type of conflict, whether it's in your family or if it's in your community, it's at the workplace? Are you automatically going on the defensive? Or are you going on the attack? Are you even listening to what the other person has to say? What I see as the listening mentor teaching people around the world how to listen at an elevated level is many times we close our ears. We're no longer listening to what the person said because we're judging what they said. We're thinking to ourselves, I don't agree with that person, and therefore I don't like this person. I don't want to listen to what they have to say, and I'm just going to nod my head, or maybe I'm going to literally go after that person and just tell them exactly what I think. And we've seen this even on social media where people are literally attacking one another because somebody has posted something, and now the social media platforms in many cases are shutting people down, putting them in a timeout, so to speak. Philip's back with us. Philip,
Yeah,
welcome.
sorry about that. Yeah. Going. Just what I'm saying, what I was sharing is, we as human beings, we need to wake up and realize that we are not put on this earth to just me, and do things for ourselves. Everything in this world is about giving. Everything in this world is about making a big difference and going out of your way to help other people. And just what you were referring to, Dr. Jacqueline, on social media, people voicing their own opinions and having their say. I'm not saying it should be banned or illegal, but I really wish and hope people would think before they speak, and push the send button before sending a message or responding on social media. We're very, very happy to hide behind screens and hide behind the social media and not actually confront people openly with what we feel and what we're sharing. And that to me is, it's very cowardly.
Yes, I feel that it's interesting and it's relevant to be curious. I'm interested, Phil, about how you feel. And can you tell me what's behind what you're feeling or your position on something? But instead of that, it's people are just going right for the jugular. No, I think A, you think B, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, absolutely. People make up their own thoughts, and the mind is very powerful, as we know. I mean, our brain can conjure up some very, very fascinating stories, and at the end of the day, we can really come out with some real stupid expressions or stupid sayings, or be nasty or contradictory to someone, well, without giving it any thought. And don't forget that wonderful Maya Angelou quote. That Maya Angelou quote is, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And that, for me, is everything in life. How do you make other people feel?
Yes, I want to share something that just happened actually last night. Somebody who just joined our team, an amazing person, he did a show last night and he was talking about when he met me, how he had a really bad day and everything was kind of stacked against him. And then we met and decided to do something and it's really changed him. And I was watching, I just started to cry because I was so moved by what he said, that you look at someone and you think they have everything together and you think everything is, because they show up a certain way, but you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. And so, as you're always talking about, as we're discussing here, showing up with grace, with kindness, instead of a judgment. Oh, she's this or he's that, labeling, calling people certain names, putting them into certain categories.
Absolutely, Dr. JACALYN. You put that so perfectly. And it takes effort. Let's face it, we are all wired differently, thank goodness, to a large degree. We're not all the same, but we can work on our emotions and work on our etiquette and manners and work on being kind and work on being graceful. We can do all of that. It just takes effort. And for those people out there who are not prepared to put effort into how they show up every day, it's a travesty. It really is, because when you show up every day and put your best foot forward, doors will open for you. Doors will open for you throughout your life. And through our organization, we've seen that. We've seen people from all walks of life walk through the door. And when they've implemented the tools and the skill sets that we impart, the knowledge, their lives start to change. And it can be one simple bit of guidance that changes their whole outlook on life, their whole perspective on life. And that is how straightforward this whole journey actually can be and is, if you are prepared to work at it.
I love the fact that you shared about working at it. So if someone has certain belief system and it's ingrained in who they are, and maybe they're later in life, maybe they're 50, 60, 70s, can that mindset, that behavior set of traits, can they be changed? Can a person be rewired?
Most definitely. And Dr. JACALYN, funny enough, that is the beautiful thing about emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is something where we can rewire our brain. It's something we can work on a daily basis. And it does bring into, I suppose one sort of might say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, I have to disagree with that, because I've seen the change in people, but those people have worked hard and looked on how they can change. They haven't just expected something to change or you click a switch and boom, you change. No, the world over, we all need to keep working on our being, on who we are, being humble, being kind. And it does, especially when someone triggers you and you feel like you want to jump in the boxing ring with Mike Tyson or, a legend like Muhammad Ali. One can get angry and upset. I'm not saying you can't, but if we could just take on some simple yet challenging tools into our lives, we can show up and be far better than we were yesterday.
Excellent points. Thank you very much. Now, one thing that I've been told coaching people is they're interested in making a change, but they're concerned about how the people in their lives or in their life are going to receive the new and improved model, so to speak. And as you know, sometimes people are threatened when their loved one is changing. I'll give you an example. Somebody decides to get a new hairstyle, or they decide to go to the gym, or they're watching their weight, and their partner's like, well, what's going on with you? So this can happen if someone all of a sudden is not giving their opinion all the time. They are listening. Well, what's up with you? What's brought about this change? What can you share with our audience, Philip, about this and how it impacts other people?
Yeah, that's a great question. For example, we coach a huge amount of people in high performance, in the power of etiquette and manners and emotional intelligence. And I've seen one of the partners, in other words, a couple, and let's say, for example, a female decides that she wants to go down the route of changing because certain things are not working for her, or certain things are not working in the relationship, and they start to do research. They start to look at ways that they can make the changes for themselves, because with all due respect, we cannot change other people as human beings. You have to accept that you're going to change and you would like to change. You cannot try and change someone. So Dr. JACALYN, if you and I were in a relationship and I didn't like the way you did something and I kept saying that, I can't expect you to change, because that's up to you to make that change. I can't change you as a person, but what I can do is I can influence. And influencing, don't forget, is a very powerful word. Influencing, you can either take people down the wrong journey or you can take people up the right path. And that is a privilege. And what often happens is one partner might start to go down the route of adding value to their lives through coaching, through learning to put their best foot forward, or learning new skill sets. And then all of a sudden, the beginning of that questioning ends up with the partner now potentially showing interest and then hopefully starting to follow in the same footsteps. And that is very, very powerful.
That is, it's like you're on the team together and you both are rowing in the same direction. That is very powerful.
Absolutely. You know, Dr. JACALYN, it was Mother's Day recently in the UK. It's different to the rest of the world. And I bought the most beautiful book, and I'll bring it to the show the next time around. So for my wife, and it was on affirmation, positive affirmations and gratitude. And anyone out there, if you are struggling in your life, if you are finding life difficult, finding it challenging, I'm going to challenge you to go down the journey of gratitude and positive affirmations. Find something on the internet. Find something that resonates with you. It was so powerful, the book that I gave my wife. She ended up buying another 15 to give to other people, because she wants to spread the beautiful possibility of people being able to understand the positivity, the power of gratitude and positive affirmations.
That's such a beautiful thing to do. Imagine, I'm just thinking, if I had people in my life, which I do, and I wanted to thank them and say, thank you for the role that you've played in my life, that you're playing in my life. Here's this book. I want to pass it on to you. And then maybe they would pass it on to someone else, and so on and so on. It reminds me of being at a football game where everyone waves their hands, they stand up and the next group does it. And why can't we be doing more positive things like that?
Absolutely. It's that power of influence. And I love that word influence, but don't misuse it. Influence is a very, very delicate, I think it's a privilege to help people in this world and influence people and take them down the right journey. And it's very inspirational. I know, Dr. JACALYN, you're very keen to connect me, or you have already connected me with someone that's walked into your life who's had a really tough, challenging upbringing, been in and out of prison, and has turned his life around. And that is admirable. We all can turn our lives around.
Yes, absolutely. It's about breaking those patterns of behavior, which might even be subconscious thoughts that we've had since we were young, and it's getting to the root cause. And as you know, our dear friend Mr. Red O'Loughlin, he always talks about symptoms versus getting to the root cause. So it's easy to cover something up or to take a pill or whatever the case might be, but what's causing whatever the situation is? So when people are feeling judgmental and expressing themselves, what's underlying that? So Philip, what I'd love to have us turn to now is you and I have both together presented setting boundaries, asking asking permission. When we think about etiquette in conflict resolution, what are some of the first steps that somebody needs to know about that they can then learn and then implement when it comes to etiquette in conflict resolution?
Oh, that's a big question, Dr. JACALYN. And it's a question that I'd like to sort of start off with by letting yourself get to know the other person. When I say letting yourself get to know the other person, a lot of us lament out there that we think we know ourselves and we think we know other people. And that is quite far from the truth. We don't really know ourselves exceptionally well unless we've taken the journey to get to know ourselves firstly. It sounds more simple than I've just sort of explained it, but it's very difficult because we get used to habits, we get used to the way we react, the way we do things, the way we've been influenced. Then when it comes to confident conversation and getting to know your partner, one of the things that I would always share with someone is learning their personality traits, understanding their makeup. And there are many wonderful books out there. One of them that springs to mind is the 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. When we all understand one another's love languages, we can do so much more for the other person and vice versa. Now, love languages, it might think, well, what is that? Is it all physical or whatever? No, it's not. It's all about, we all have different needs, desires, wants, and we all have different traits. So, for example, the 5 love languages talk about the physical touch. It talks about gifts and gift giving. It talks about words of affirmation, acts of service, and quality time. Now, if you can understand what your partner's love language is, it might not be your love language, but when you administer to or you share their love language and you cover them with the love that they love, all of a sudden their love cup starts to fill up, and they will be so much more receptive and so much more engaging within a relationship. And that's just scratching the surface. There's so many other traits out there. There's a thing called the DISC personality traits. And a lot of people look at that just for the corporate world. But actually, if we as human beings could understand one another's personalities and makeup, we would have such an amazing way of connecting with one another and with conflict resolution.
I agree with you. I've actually taken that training, gotten certified in it, and it does help you really understand your partner, your team member, and a little bit more about yourself and how the decisions that you make. So is that something that you incorporate there at the British School of Excellence?
Dr. JACALYN, it's very much part of the journey. So when people come through the school, we very much focus on gratitude. We focus on understanding the importance of positive affirmations, and we definitely go into giving people the tools to take them into a journey of the DISC personality traits and the 5 love languages. And that's something which is very paramount in this journey, because if anyone thinks that etiquette and manners is just about the yeses and the pleases and the no's and the no thank yous, of course it's about that, but it's so much deeper on every level. And that is where the power of etiquette and manners can help us have better relationships. It can help us with our confidence. It helps with conflict resolution. It helps us in the ability to sometimes, accept failure, because at times we will be knocked off our perch, so to speak. We will have those moments of disappointment. However, at the end of the day, through the power of etiquette and manners, and when I use that word, I'm also bringing into play the EQ side of things, the emotional intelligence. We can be so much stronger.
I really appreciate what you just shared, Philip. And something else that I'd really like us to touch on is when I teach people how to be a broadcaster, how to be world-class broadcaster, what typically comes up is there's something much deeper that's preventing them from being their true authentic self on the air. And so when I think about conflict resolution, whether you have a conflict in your relationship or at work or whatever it might be, many times we have to start with ourselves. Is there a conflict within us? Are we presenting ourselves one way, but we feel another way? Do we have these insecurities that are really lingering and harboring and causing us to show up in a way that's not exactly how we want to be perceived? So what do you think about dealing with conflict resolution within yourself?
You have to dig deep. All of us have parts of our life that have influenced us negatively. It might be an incident. It could be whatever it might be. There are definitely going to be curveballs that have been thrown at us through our upbringing and in our adult lives. And, life's one big learning curve, and it's a journey. It's something that we have to take on. And it's not, you can't allow yourself to give up. Even though you feel like that's the only way out. Hope is the last thing to die, firstly. But when it comes to what you just mentioned, Dr. JACALYN, at the end of the day, it does start with us. We have got to understand the importance of how we can change, whether it be something that strikes a raw nerve and riles you. I mean, Dr. JACALYN, you and I both have siblings, and I know for a fact that you can wind your sister up in 10 seconds flat. I can do the same with my family because they're sensitive areas. They're areas that they feel strongly about, or they're areas that upset them, whatever it might be. We know for a fact on the raw nerve scenario and syndrome. So at the end of the day, it does start with us. It starts with us. That old adage that I've used so many times on the show is taking on board time to think things through before we interact with people. The 6-second rule. Those scenarios will serve you time and time again.
Yes, we all have triggers that we can have other people push, or that we push for other people. But when we're talking about conflict, that's part of taking accountability and saying, okay, I know what Philip's triggers are, and I'm not going to go there. Or if we have a conversation and one of us is starting to get upset, we have to say, okay, I'm going to back off for a moment. I can tell this is a touchy subject, because sometimes we don't even realize that we're triggered or that it is a touchy subject. We just feel very emotional, and we can't really pinpoint why that is at that moment.
Absolutely. And that's where I think we as human beings need to also understand that I'm a highly sensitive person. So if someone's miserable or upset in my company, I immediately jump to, have I offended them? Have I upset them? And a lot of the time, the answer is no, I haven't. They've come in with a challenge, a mindset scenario, or something has triggered them and put them into a moment of sadness or upset, or just feeling frustrated or angry. And we need to understand that, what triggers people, what gives people what is the trigger point, and why are they behaving in a certain way? What is going on with that individual? And that boils down to judging as well. We should never go around and judge people. We all judge people, and that is the wrong thing to do, because how many of us in this world has misjudged someone and landed up being friends with that person, doing business with that person, even maybe being a lifetime partner? One doesn't know. So again, it's the whole thing in life is all about, let's take the plank out of our own eye before we take the speck out of someone's, the little toothpick out of someone else's eye.
I've never heard that one before, Philip. I really like that. So a question I have for you in reference to this area, because this is something that happened to me, and I'm not going to go into the details, but someone did judge me and basically had me cornered in a room and was just really unloading on me. And my question for you is, when you see this happening, you can see someone having a meltdown, right? And it doesn't have to be somebody you know very well. It could be somebody you just met, or as somebody that you are working with, and the person's having a meltdown and you're witnessing it. Okay, I chose not to respond. But what I wanted to do after the fact as a coach was I wanted to provide feedback to that person, but I chose not to do it because I didn't know what's the protocol for watching someone have a meltdown and then you taking it on, and where do you go from there?
Sure, that's a very, very big question. Firstly, if someone's maybe pointing a finger at you, like you were cornered, for example, what you could do is turn around to them and say, wow, you've got a very big, a large opinion on that. Tell me more. Where's this coming from? Is there something, I've said, or just let them open up, because that will then put the so-called shoe on the other foot, and it gives the other person a bit of a sort of an opportunity to almost put that person on the spot, because it's very easy to vent and go bananas and go nuts. But when you throw it back at someone and say, wow, that's a very strong opinion you have there, I'd love to know more. Where's this coming from? What's the trigger? And don't continue with any further words. Just pause. The power of the pause is an incredibly powerful tool within our communication. It's one of the most powerful moments. And, you know, Dr. JACALYN, you with being, you know, the dynamic listening mentor, you understand the power of the pause. And we bring in the pause into our coaching and training, the pondering pause, the power of the pause. But really, when people are venting or going off on one, I would always encourage you just to take a pause yourself. Don't take offense to it. It all depends on, it is okay to vent your anger at the right time for the right reason, but that is finally in tune with how you put that in words, because at the end of the day, when we speak, we give life to our words, and you cannot take them back.
Yes, very true. Very true. Thank you. In that particular scenario, I just let this person vent. And then afterwards, I went in my car and I cried, believe it or not, because I was so taken back. I was just shocked. And I thought, okay, what can I learn from this? If I take all the emotion that that person just spilled, are there any details in there that I actually could learn from and incorporate? So I use that scenario as a learning opportunity. And I think when there is conflict, if we were to look at it as what can I learn? What could possibly be valid? What could I embrace? And what is there that I basically am not going to take on?
100%. And with all due respect, it's that moment that you have to calm down, and it might not be immediate, but calm down and then reflect on the scenario, reflect on the situation, because whether we like it or not, there's always going to be a message or a learning curve that we can take on board and hopefully circumvent that same scenario happening again.
Exactly. Because I think what happens is if, for example, if someone is typically very volatile and they like to, or maybe they don't even like, they're just so used to giving feedback at that moment without actually thinking about it, then that's a pattern of behavior that person will have to work on if they're interested in making change. But as the receiver, there's nothing I can do about what that other person, how they're behaving or what they're saying.
Absolutely. And Dr. JACALYN, you know, we can remove ourselves from those sort of people. We can remove ourselves from the negativity. It might happen and explode, and it's difficult to, especially if it's family and a close friend. But again, I think timing is everything. You know, choose your timing and moment to go through an apology. I mean, I had a misunderstanding with my wonderful brother Rupert not so long ago, and you know, I felt it was very untoward. And then once I'd calmed down and we had sort of exchanged a few messages with one another, yeah, I learned a huge thing. And it was the lack of, on my behalf, it was bad communication. It was an arrangement I'd made a few months ago, and I completely forgot about it. I mean, Dr. JACALYN, not an excuse. I'm not using an excuse, but I know you and I've had a few sort of slip-ups because I'm running around and I'm being I'm busy, and I know it's something I've got to get a handle on and maybe learn to communicate a lot better. But I've learned from that, and you and I have had great conversations on how we can, you know, book things in advance and make sure that our ducks are all in a row. And it's something that I'm working on very, very heavily.
Well, congratulations for you for that. That's incredible. And you and I know, because we've discussed it, you have people in your organization and you're working with them. And of course, we have a team here. And it's very hard because when you really like someone and you're friends with that person, and yet there's things that you have to discuss, it's hard for me. It really is. I don't remember learning anything about that in school, but we have to wear different hats for different reasons. And so I think when we go back to etiquette and conflict resolution, we could almost look at it as though for this situation, for this conversation, for this relationship, I'm going to put on a hat that is really one of me listening as opposed to judging.
Yeah, absolutely. That is so true. And it's such a nice way, I think, just to sort of summarize and bring the show, because I know time is marching on, and bring the show towards its end. But again, I love the way you summarize that, learning and really taking on the understanding of how important it is to listen and actively listen and acknowledge people as well, not just stare blankly at people or not if you're on the phone, not to just be silent, because that then again is going to trigger the other person with them feeling that you don't care, that you're not interested, that actually you're just blasting my ear off and I don't really care about you really at the end of the day. And I think these are all skills and tools that we can all encompass in our lives. And whether we like it or not, life is a learning curve. Life is a journey, and we need to understand how important it is to just be better than we were the day before.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Philip. I really appreciate you taking time from your day. And I know you have a lot going on there. Please say hello to your family. I'm looking forward to having your beautiful wife be on our show and talking about what she's doing.
Absolutely.
And will we see you next week? Will you still be in South Africa?
No, I will be, but next Friday, absolutely, we'll be on the show and we'll be discussing, as no doubt, some wonderful content and topic of conversation. And we might even be fortunate enough to get a guest on board.
Oh, fabulous. That would be wonderful. All right, I'm going to go over to you to have any final words that you want to leave with our audience for today before we close up.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. If anyone does want to reach out to us here at the British School of Excellence, please feel free to do so. We've got WhatsApp telephone numbers and contact details on our website, www.thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. For those of you watching the show live or watching it later, there's a QR code you can scan. We love connecting, we love engaging. And if I can just share with everybody out there, every single one of us has the ability to make a difference. Every single one of us can make a change in our lives for the better. And when we make changes for the better, you will see how life will start to unfold. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, but I urge you to understand how important that etiquette and manners and emotional intelligence are. Be kind, be patient, and have wonderful empathy in your life, because that will put you at the top of the pile.
Thank you so much, Philip. And we have your contact information here. And for people who are on our audio only platforms, the way to contact Philip and his team is email hello, HELLO, at the British School of Excellence, all one word. And the website is thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. All right. Thank you, my friend. I hope you have a beautiful weekend. It's great seeing you and great seeing Harley.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jacalyn. A wonderful weekend to you. And bye-bye to the audience. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone, for watching or listening wherever it is that you are in the world. We really do appreciate you. If you found value in this topic, please let us know. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we are on many different platforms: Roku worldwide, Amazon Fire. We're on 2 YouTube channels, actually 3 with Philip's, 3 YouTube channels, as well as Facebook. I think 5 pages there, and LinkedIn. So we really do want to hear from you. If you'd like to be a guest on this or any of our other shows, please do reach out to us. Go over to our website, which is USAGLOBALTV.com. Signing off for now. Look forward to seeing you for our next show. And wherever you are in the world, remember, you don't know what's going on in anyone's life. I'll give you an example. I hurt my wrist. My wrist is completely taped up. I'm in agony. But you wouldn't know that if I didn't show you, right? And I'm going to teach a spin class, and they're not going to know it either. So the point is, don't judge a book by its cover. Just give people grace. Imagine if you were on the receiving end, how would you feel? Nobody knows what's going on with you, and yet somebody's going to treat you a certain way. So live life with grace and give people the benefit of the doubt. That's what I have to leave with today. Thank you very much. We'll see you all again soon. Bye.
The last few days have been really amazing. I had a trainer course from the British School of Etiquette.
And I must say it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made and one of the best investments I've made in my own training and development.
Now, words alone will not describe the transformation and the positive path that I have traveled with the British School of Etiquette.
I find really I learned a lot from the lessons this time I came.
The last few days with the British School of Etiquette have been fantastic.
And what I've learned now is really beyond my expectations.
This is the most rewarding experience and the best investment I have made this year.
It was just great. I learned so much, and when I go back to Belgium, I will incorporate a lot of it into my day-to-day life and business.
It's been absolutely wonderful for the whole week that we were here.
I feel transformed, and I feel like blowing a trumpet and tell people, come and do this school. This class is the best. This is the best school ever.
You should take it. It's just, it will change your life immediately.
I am now able to teach other people how to bring the best of them.
Thank you.
Thank you, BSc.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.